Welcome into the discussion presented by California Love. I'm your host, Chris Sylvester, joined as always by the ever so flamboyant Dan the Man Gadino, and of course, Nick the Stick Rice. And Nick, he's not very sticky.
Name for me than that?
Well, what else am I going to say? I mean, there's a lot of people with the last name Rice that wouldn't be appropriate to use on this show.
Yeah, good point. Okay, well, we'll stick with that.
All right, guys, it's a big week once again in high school football. Trinity League play continues. Already week number 3. Can you believe it? And then junior college football, we got a monumental matchup between the number 1 ranked Mount San Antonio College Mounties and the Riverside Tigers. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that in just a little bit. We'll recap last week first. In week 1 of Trinity League action, all the games were decided by 7 points or less. Same thing went for week 2, except the largest amount of defeat in week 2 was the Bosco game against J. Sarah. The Braves able to pull it out in a shootout, 49-44. Mater Dei able to rebound and get their first league win against Servite, 20-17. And KJ Costello for Santa Margarita, 495 yards passing. A spectacular come-from-behind win for the Eagles. They even their record at 1-1 in league play and send Olu to 0-2 with a 42-41 victory for Santa Margarita. We'll start with Dan the Man Gadino. Dan, your thoughts on week 2 of Trinity League play and how the results from week 2 could translate into some teams missing out on the postseason?
First thing, thank you, and it sounds like you've done your homework, and it's a good thing. What about these 3 games this last Friday? I'm telling you, they were all just as good as each and every one of themselves. I mean, Mater Dei beating Servite on the road, Olu losing on the road to Santa Margarita, like you said. KJ Costello stepping up big, and of course the Chase Sarah and the Bosco coaches is what I think saved Bosco that night. So I feel like this is going to get down to the nitty gritty, as they like to say.
Yeah, I mean, talking about guys doing their homework, though, Dan, just real quick, St. John Bosco was mentioned touchdown with touchdown, correct? I mean, that shootout was your typical barn burner, your typical high school football game. Then out of nowhere, the Braves go 3 and out. I mean, that was about as peculiar as any. But then on 4th down, McGurr runs the fake punt that gives them the score that wins it. And Jason Negro, who during that Gorman game looked like a complete dud, all of a sudden a genius now and is on the driver's seat of winning the Trinity League. I think this has been as fun of a 2 weeks of high school ball as really any in the state, given that Trinity League is the number 1 league in the country.
So true. And just one last thing before I send it back to Nick. Chris. Man, I hope this continues, man. It just makes it so much more fun.
You're absolutely right, Dan Gadino. Everything seems to be coming down to the wire as far as Trinity League play goes. As we look ahead to this week, some more fantastic matchups, as always, week in and week out in Trinity League play. St. John Bosco, it's their homecoming game. They'll host Olu, and don't let the record fool you. Bosco 2-0 in league play. Olu 0-2 in league play, but let's not forget Olu, a last-minute loss on a field goal against Servite, and like I mentioned at the top of the show, Santa Margarita, KJ Costello able to have a little 6-yard touchdown run with 20 seconds left to go to defeat Olu. They lose that one by 1. So it's been a very tough start to Trinity League play. A lot of heartbreaking losses here early on in the season for Olu, but let's not forget, Olu has not lost a game by more than 3 points, and the 3 losses have come to Servite and Santa Margarita, like I just said, and they also dropped a non-league contest in overtime to Corona Centennial. So this is a battle-tested team. They blew out a pretty good Vista team from the Inland Division. Nick Rice will let you know all about that one. But how about Bosco Olu? A lot of people think, you look at the records and say, St. John Bosco 2-0 in league play, Orange Lutheran 0-2. This should be another typical Bosco blowout, but that might not be the case.
Yeah, it seems like there's. Oh yeah, go ahead, Nick. Oh well, like, I was just gonna say that. What's amazing with this matchup is that Jay Sarah completely picked apart our defense. 44 points, over 500 yards. Their quarterback, Nick Robinson, was all night long seemingly found the answer to every single question, or pressure that the Boston Bruins put on him. But Orange Lutheran is a better offense than that, which certainly poses a huge concern for that Bosco real marginal defense. I mean, they looked pretty bad last week. And Orange Lutheran gets it done with the two-headed running attack, Patrick Reardon and J.D. Pickle leading the charge. But this week will be interesting because for the first time all year, that defensive front, which I believe is the strength of that D-line, or strength of that football team, the D-line, they will be put to the test here by the number one rushing offense in the Trinity League, not St. John Bosco, who Sean McGrew certainly put himself back in the conversation, but Orange Lutheran. That'll be fun to watch, and it'll be another game that will come down to the wire. All 6 games in the Trinity League so far have come by a touchdown or less.
Yeah, it's certainly been a fun one so far in Trinity League play, fellas. Another game that kind of jumps out to me is the Mater Dei J. Sarah matchup. Mater Dei seems to be a team that likes to pride themselves on defense, and like we saw last week, the J. Sarah, they certainly know how to put up a lot of points. We'll get into predictions later, and of course, let's not overlook that Santa Margarita Servite game. Travis Waller suffered an injury during the Mater Dei game, so it'll be interesting to see how he responds, see if he's 100%, because if he's not, KJ Costello and Santa Margarita could certainly find a way to put up more points than those Servite Friars. So a lot to talk about as far as Trinity League football goes. We'll get into our predictions a little bit later in the show. But now on to JUCO football, junior college football. The matchup of the week, number 1 versus number 2, Mount Sac and Riverside. Both of these teams leapfrogging Long Beach in the rankings after the Vikings losing kind of a head scratcher on the road at Chaffey College. One that I got to give credit to Nick Rice for potentially calling. He didn't call the upset, but he said it was certainly a possibility, and we all called him crazy last week on the discussion. So props to him. Fullerton able to rebound. They're back to first place in their conference. Saddleback found a way to lose at Grossmont. I guess Grossmont's just a different team down there. And Ventura, they keep on rolling 3-0 in conference play. What do you think about the playoff system? I was talking to Coach Jastrab of the Mounties yesterday, and he said he doesn't like it at all, the current playoff system for Southern California junior college football. He believes that the top 4 teams should go to the postseason and not the 3 conference winners and 1 wild card team. Do you guys agree with that?
Yeah. Let me take this thing over there. Personally, I think that's what's the glory of sports. Not everything's going to be perfect. The records of who's going to be in and be out won't always indicate the top 4, but it's the same with the NFL, where the Cardinals get out at 10-6, and the team that sneaks in is the 9-7 Chargers. And we've even had a 7-9 Seattle Seahawks team enter, and that's just the beginning of it. I think that's the parity in sports. In the playoffs, it's the same thing, because at the end of the day, I think no matter what in the world the playoff format is, you've got to figure out a way to get in. And whether it's Mount Sac or Riverside that's on the wrong end, I feel like I would say the same exact thing. I mean, if you are put in a conference where you're supposed to be in the final 2, no matter how tough it is, the sign of a championship team is if you can figure out a way to get in. My personal opinion, but I wouldn't have a big problem with it reverse of the top 4, because obviously last year Mount Sac was a team that did not get in and obviously was a top 4 ball club.
Yeah, you'd probably have to think the same this year if the Mounties were to miss out on their 2nd consecutive postseason berth. It's just a tough conference, the National Central Conference. You got 3 really good teams in there. Only 2 of them are going to make it. Obviously, we know, or I know, your prediction, Nick, on the game this upcoming Saturday. We're not gonna get to that just yet, but You got to feel for the lone team left out, whether it's Long Beach, Riverside, or Mount Sac. Two of those teams, two of the three, definitely going to get in. But as of right now, I'm sure you might pick Long Beach because that would certainly be my pick. But what team do you think is going to slip and miss out on the postseason?
I'm going to have to point at Long Beach. I don't think they're real just yet. There's still a lot of football to be played. I say it's RCC and Mount Sac. They're going to give each other a loss possibly on Saturday, but I think it's going to be Long Beach, LBCC, that stays out of the playoff picture.
You make a good point there. I do want to mention real quick that off of this game, there still is 3 left for Long Beach and 3 left for Riverside, and both of them still play each other. So even though Long Beach will be favored down the stretch per se, I still think that there's a big possibility that Riverside could potentially run the table, which gives a loss to Long Beach, right? And Long Beach doesn't play a extremely easy remaining slate. Chris, I'd like to hear what the remainder of the slate is, but I think there's still a potential second loss in there of their final 3 games. I mean, even though they get up to that hot start, I mean, this isn't the first time that we've seen a team that slowly falls apart, reaches the climax, reaches the pinnacle of their season. And I think the pinnacle of 2014 for Long Beach was that win against Mount Sac. And that was a home victory. I'm sure they were feeling extremely proud, like they just won a playoff game. And ever since then, I mean, boy, as the train fell off the track, I would not be surprised if one loss turns into 2 and 3 because, guys, this isn't the first time we've seen Long Beach crumble late in the year.
No, this is a Long Beach team that's very new to postseason play. A team that was 0-10 2 years ago, 4-6 a year ago, and all of a sudden a spark. They started off 6-0, but like we mentioned, the loss against Chaffee, 40-36 on the road. Obviously, they're playing with their backup quarterback, so you have to give them that. But that backup quarterback, not too different from the starter, Kenny Potter, who was injured in the Mount Sac game. Brock Dale's doing a fantastic job at QB for the Vikings, and you can't put the loss on him against Chaffee. I mean, the offense put up 36 points, but the defense a little bit inexcusable, giving up 40 points to a decent Chaffee team at best on the road. Certainly something you got to look out for down the road. And as you look down the slate for Long Beach, they got the bye week this week, Riverside at home on the 1st of November. That game with enormous playoff implications. If Long Beach wins that one, they're almost most certainly in. If Riverside loses that one, then all of a sudden it all hinges on the game this Saturday against Mount Sac, win or loss for Riverside. And then Long Beach after Riverside, it doesn't get easier. They go on the road. They play a decent Citrus team that I think after seeing them last week could certainly give Long Beach some trouble defensively. And then they close out the season at home against El Camino. El Camino's kind of been a team that's been up and down so far throughout the season. So you never know when it comes to Long Beach City College football. And
2 ranked ball clubs, just want to mention.
Yeah, 2 ranked ball clubs. So it's not going to be a slam dunk for the Vikings to find their way into the postseason. As for Riverside, the victory 36-12 against LA Harper this past Saturday was what some may call an ugly win, but obviously the Tigers probably looking ahead towards the big matchup this Saturday at home with Mount Sac. The last 2 times that the Mounties have traveled to Wheelock Stadium, a.k.a. the Jungle, Riverside 29-26 victories last year and a 29-26 victory back in 2011. Talk a little bit about Nick Rice. Talk a little bit about the matchup between 1 and 2 this Saturday at Wheelock.
I think that JUCO fans are going to get all that they bargained for. And again, Spreaker will have that here along with you in the national sports. But it's going to be a battle of defenses. Both teams in the top 5 scoring defenses. A couple of stalwart run D's as well, both in the top 5 there. And this is your typical 1 versus 2. I mean, they look almost like mirror images of each other when you look on paper. Both teams play very well in the run game. They smash mouth with the 2 most winningest coaches right now in junior college with